This video will walk you through the process of writing your literary analysis essay start to finish. First, let's open up the essay. You'll need to navigate to Google Classroom, go to the English classroom, go to Classwork, and then the section titled Literary Analysis Essay Resources. The essay itself can be found at the top of that section. It's titled Literary Analysis C&C Essay. It is a Google slide deck that looks like this. The final draft of this essay is due January 26th. Let's go over the prompt so that we know what we're expected to write about. You have read Legacies and Everyday Use about two families. Using details from the story and the poem, write an essay that compares and contrasts how Dee in Everyday Use and the little girl in Legacies feel about their heritage. In your essay, be sure to explain the relationships that each character has with her mother and grandmother and their feelings about the heirlooms and traditions of their families. Write a well-organized, text-dependent response. Be sure to edit and review your work for complete sentences, spelling, punctuation, and appropriate usage. Time for pre-writing, drafting, editing, and revising will be provided in class. Your final draft should be between 400 and 800 words in length. In the slide deck, you will find the prompt, expectations, and rubric, a brief explanation of why we learn to write essays, basic 4-paragraph essay outline, the poem Legacies by Nikki Giovanni, the short story Everyday Use by Alice Walker, key quotations from Everyday Use. Next, on slides 10 through 19, you will find blank slides with space to write your brainstorming, thesis statement, body, introductory, and concluding paragraphs, as well as your final draft. Slides 20 through 25 include a final draft checklist. Slides 26 through 33 are teacher examples of all of the pieces, and 34 through 39 include additional resources. The writing process should take the following steps. Read the poem Legacies, read Everyday Use, complete your pre-writing Venn diagram, write your thesis statement and have your teacher approve it, gather text evidence, write your body paragraph topic sentences, write your introductory paragraph, finish your body paragraphs, write the concluding paragraph, revise, and edit. If you'd like to read an exemplar essay, you can do so now on the screen. Pause the video to read. Here's the next part of the essay. Pause the video to read it. Next, let's take a look at the poem Legacies by Nikki Giovanni. Her grandmother called her from the playground. "Yes, ma'am. I want you to learn how to make rolls," said the old woman proudly. But the little girl didn't want to learn how, because she knew, even if she couldn't say it, that would mean when the old one died she would be less dependent on her spirit. So she said, "I don't want to know how to make no rolls," with her lips poked out. And the old woman wiped her hands on her apron, saying, "Lord, these children." And neither of them ever said what they meant, and I guess nobody ever does. Next, let's read a brief summary of the short story Everyday Use by Alice Walker. Everyday Use is told from the perspective of Mama, a big-boned woman with rough, man-working hands. As the story begins, she hesitantly awaits the return of her eldest daughter, Dee. Mama stands near her shy and physically scarred younger daughter, Maggie. As they await Dee's return, the reader is given details about Mama's life and her tense relationship with Dee. We learn that Dee always wanted more than her family history or Mama could offer her. While Dee is intelligent and driven, we get the sense that she isn't always kind to her mother and sister. Dee finally shows up with a young man named Hakima Barber, whom Mama refers to as Asamalamakim. Dee insists on being called by her new name, Wangero. Both Dee and her boyfriend are more focused on taking things like the family quilts and butter churner than actually connecting with Mama and Maggie. They rifle through Mama's possessions in search of authentic pieces of old rural black life, a life that Dee has long ago distanced herself from. Dee makes a dozen or so insults, veiled as casual chit-chat, directed at Mama and Maggie. She insists on taking old quilts that are meant for Maggie. Finally, it all ends in an argument. Mama tells Wangero to take the other 2 quilts not intended for Maggie and to leave. Dee tells Maggie to make something of herself and tells Mama that she doesn't understand her own heritage. Then, both Dee and Hakima Barber climb into their car and disappear in a cloud of dust as quickly as they had arrived. That is a summary of everyday use. To read the entire short story, you'll need to click on the link on slide 7 to access the text. Next, we'll need to complete our Venn diagram pre-writing. If you haven't already opened up slide 10 on your essay slide deck, please do so and click the link. Then you will need to complete the Venn diagram on that page so that it looks exactly like this one. In the center, you should write down that both characters Dee and the little girl from Legacies don't know or don't appreciate their family heritage. Dee is different from the little girl because she is rude to her mother because she ignores her family and thinks they are uneducated. They don't meet her expectations. Dee values appearance, looks, novelty, or new things, and formal education, and she distances herself from her family to avoid embarrassment. The little girl from Legacies, on the other hand, is rude to her grandmother because she doesn't want to lose her grandmother. She cares very much about her grandmother. She values her family but doesn't show it, and she distances herself from her family to avoid pain. Please pause the video and complete your Venn diagram so that it looks just like this one. Next, we need to write our thesis statement. We're going to take the information from that Venn diagram and put it into one sentence that is the main idea of our essay. In category 1, the red column, we need to jot down the similarities between the 2 characters. This will be the same as the center portion of our Venn diagram. Then, in category 2, we need to write down the differences between the 2 characters, which can be found on either side of the Venn diagram. Next, we need to put it all together into one sentence. Although both characters blank, they differ in blank. That red blank should have the same information as the red column. This blue blank should have the same information as this blue column. You can see an example written by Mrs. LaPaglia on slide 28 that uses a similar structure but simply for a different character from different stories. The sample thesis statement reads, although both characters value freedom and individuality, they differ in their attitudes towards other people. Please pause the video, write your own thesis statement, and then send it to your teacher for approval. After you've written your thesis statement, you'll need to gather text evidence to support your ideas. When we say text evidence, we mean direct quotes copied word for word from the story and poem, completely in the author's words. Category 1 should be similarities with how Dee and the little girl are similar. You'll need evidence from Legacies and everyday use. Then, Category 2 are how the little girl from Legacies and Dee are different. Again, gathered one from Legacies and one from everyday use, for a total of 4 quotations. You can find the evidence that you need on slides 6 through 9. Please pause the video to gather your evidence. Next, you'll need to write your body paragraph topic sentences. Body paragraph 1 on slide 15 should be about the similarities between the two characters. Body paragraph 2 on slide 16 should be about the differences. Pause the video, copy the sentence stems onto those slides, and then finish the sentence stems based on what you've already written for your thesis statement. Next, you'll need to write your introductory paragraph. Copy down the sentence stems that you see on the screen and finish them, explaining what are some different ways that heritage can be represented, give a brief summary of everyday use, and a brief summary of Legacies by Nikki Giovanni. Pause the video here to finish your intro paragraph. When you're done with those sentence stems, you'll need to copy and paste the thesis statement from slide 12 onto slide 14 so that it is the last sentence of your introductory paragraph. Please pause the video to do that now. Next, you'll need to write your body paragraphs. Your topic sentence should already be done, so you'll need to provide your evidence that you've already gathered, along with an analysis and explanation. You can use the sentence stems that you see on the screen to mix and match and write your paragraph. The paragraph should be structured with topic sentence, evidence, an analysis and explanation, evidence from the other piece of literature, and then an analysis and explanation. You can see an example on slide 31 if it's helpful to you. Please pause the video to write body paragraph 1. Next, you'll go through the same process to write body paragraph 2. Please pause the video to write body paragraph 2. Finally, you'll need to write your concluding paragraph. The concluding paragraph should be structured by rephrasing your thesis statement, giving a specific statement that talks about legacies and everyday use, and then a general statement about legacies, heritage, heirlooms, and family. You are welcome to use these sentence stems to phrase your work. You can see an example on slide 33 and additional examples on slide 36. Please pause the video to write your conclusion now. When you're done writing all 4 paragraphs, copy and paste them onto slides 18 and 19. The last step will be to revise and edit your work. On slides 20 through 25, you can find final draft checklists for your review to make sure that your work is polished and ready to turn in. Don't forget, as always, please reach out to your teacher if you have questions or you need help. We're here to support you, and we want to make sure that you can do the best work possible.